Hello, welcome to the Soul Symphony this evening. Nico could not come, but we have Gil, who has kindly volunteered to step in. He is very passionate about music and he has over 2 decades of experience in the IT field as well. He has been meditating for 30 years, over 30 years, and today through his music, he will be guiding us into inner stillness. So, Brother Gil, would you like to?
Please. Today's program is a soul symphony, and we at Brahma Kumaris we actually talk about the soul and the world of silence, and that the home of souls is actually the world of silence. But our inner world is uh, is the world of thoughts, actually. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about the soul and also about our thoughts. So let's first talk about the soul. When we talk about the soul, we talk about a being of light. We have here like a representation of the soul, that is this dot of light. And we typically say that the soul comes from the world of silence. And we come from the world of silence into the world of sound. And then we come also into the physical world. And in this physical world, there is movement, there is interaction, and there is also music. So it is like, when I think about the title of today's program, it's about the soul, which stands for silence, and then we have symphony, which actually stands for life. And so these are like contradictory aspects or contradictory ideas. On the one hand, you have the soul, which is related to silence, and on the other hand, with symphony, which is related to interaction, it's related to music. So here you have two very different aspects which then interact with each other. Now, the symphony. What is symphony? Symphony actually stands for life. So there are different types of music. I actually learned classical music, but the truth is that there are really different types of music. There is very peaceful music, which is related to religion or to peace. Then there is music which is related to partying. There is music which is actually also very aggressive. We have metal and stuff like that. So you have actually, in music, you have a real big diversity. But the aspect of the soul is actually related to silence and related to peace. But when you come into the aspect of symphony, into the aspect of music, then you can actually find there a huge variety of feelings, a huge variety of colors. So today we have in our world a huge mix of colors, of influences, and we live in a world where the symphony has become so complex and so huge that people find it really very hard to navigate this symphony. So the symphony became very chaotic, and people are right now looking for some kind of direction. And I think people actually want to go back to this silence. We have kind of, we got used to a symphony which is very disconcerting, where there are lots of contradictions and lots of tensions, and we actually want to get away from this noise. So symphony actually became noise, and we actually want to go back into the silence of the soul. And that's also what we want to do with meditation. We want to come from this world of chaos back into the silence of the soul. And obviously, what most people want to do, they want actually to find this path back to silence. So I'll play now another piece. Okay. Thank you. So, so we talked about the world of the soul, which is the world of peace. Then we talked about the symphony, which is the interaction of life. And then we also talked a little bit about chaos and confusion. So, and what we actually want to achieve, we want to come from this chaos and confusion. There is a big wish and a big desire to come back to this peace of the soul. And we at Brahma Kumaris, we say that you cannot attain peace by looking outside. So you can search as much as you want outside. You can search for peace by having a very successful career outside. You can search for peace by searching for recognition. You can search for peace by accumulating a lot of money, or you can go to insurance companies and you can buy lots of products from these guys to kind of get some peace of mind. Or you can try to insure yourself by, I don't know, by having a lot of power. That's also a form of kind of a conventional form to attain peace. But all these methods, actually, they don't work. Or you can try to be extremely smart so that through your big brain you can actually achieve some recognition or something like that. But that won't buy you peace. You cannot travel to the peace of the soul by looking outside. So we here at Brahma Kumaris, we say you have to look at yourself, you have to go inside, and it's inside. It's when you realize yourself. It's also when you understand how you work, when you understand how your mind works, how your intellect works, and how your traits of personality were formed, that you can actually start on this journey to peace. So we can look at ourselves as travelers, as somehow a traveler of the night. So we are right now in a very chaotic world. And when I say night, night is just an analogy for this very chaotic and dark world where there are lots of negative emotions. And we want to stay protected, and we want to be able to navigate in this world. And what Brahma Kumaris, what we are actually saying here is that you won't find the light, you won't find the power outside. Actually, it's only when you look at yourself, when you recognize yourself, that you can start walking on this path towards peace. So, how can we find peace? How can we improve our emotions? How can we improve the way we feel? What is the path? And I think lots of people would like to have this answer here, I guess. Right? So I will tell you, perhaps I'll talk about this from the perspective of this institution, obviously, right? So I think there are a couple of steps, and these steps are related to an experience which our founder had in the beginning. So the founder of the Brahma Kumaris actually had this vision of a deity, of an Indian deity, which showed him a glorious being, really a wonderful human being, someone who would embody peace, embody power in a way which is not very common. So the founder of the Brahma Kumaris, who we call Brahma Baba, had this initial vision, and he saw just a wonderful human being, really someone who embodied peace, who embodied power, who kind of exuded glory. So I don't know if any of you just had this experience ever, but it's like he just saw in front of him, or he just saw in a vision, obviously, someone was so out of the usual and so powerful, but also so peaceful, as someone who actually shouldn't even exist. So just imagine this, that you come in contact with a personality, with a person, but this person is so unusual, has such a vibration. Just by looking at this person, when you look at the eyes of this person, then you get an experience. And that was exactly what was happening to him. So he saw a being, and this being was so elevated and so loving, but also so powerful and so pure. And so he had this vision, and I think in the beginning he didn't understand what that actually meant. So he didn't know that, but I think he had a vision of something that existed in the past and possibly also in the future. And so perhaps the ones who are actually connected to the Brahma Kumaris know who this vision was. So, and this vision is actually over there in that picture. So we have, he had the vision more or less like that. It doesn't mean that he saw exactly what is there. And this vision was actually showing him the form of the perfect human being. Okay, it had 4 arms, so that's a bit weird, right? But so he saw an Indian deity called Vishnu, but this Indian deity is the embodiment of absolute, uttermost human perfection. So he saw that, and this vision is actually his goal, becomes his goal. So, but what does this mean? So the founder of this organization saw this glorious human being, and then this glorious human being even tells him, you are I. So he says something like this, that actually he was supposed to become this glorious form. So the vision tells him something. So in this moment, I think, I'm not 100% sure if Brahma Baba understood it initially right away, but he was actually seeing his perfect form. Now, imagine if you have some kind of twin image of yourself, and this twin image is actually perfect, is absolutely powerful, never feels stress, is always cool, is always happy, and that's you. And so we are introducing here this kind of idea that every one of us has actually a very beautiful, a very elevated form. And so that's exactly what he saw. So at this moment, he was introduced with the idea of his perfect self. It's like his perfect self just showed up and said, actually, I'm you. I'm you in the past or in the future. Doesn't matter. Yeah. And so that's more or less what happened at that moment. But the fun part of this experience, I think, of our founder was also that this being didn't come empty-handed, right? He came with some objects in his hands. You remember that? He has 4 objects. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. You just need to look at the image. That's not a secret. So there is the first, but these symbols, they sound like mystery. They don't make any sense if you look at them. So he comes first with the discus of self-realization. It's called the discus of self-realization. So that's what he has there. And it seems to be rotating at very high speed on his finger. Yeah. Then he comes with a mace or with a scepter, something like that. On the other hand, so also very strange. Well, that is understandable. Normally, kings in Europe also have that symbol in their hands. It's a symbol of power. Yeah. So there are a couple of symbols of power. Also obviously, Vishnu comes with a crown. Yeah. So that's a symbol of royalty or something like that. Then it comes with a flower. Oh, it's a lotus. Okay. And finally, comes with a conch shell. And this seems like kind of some random kind of symbols taken out of somewhere, right? So first of all, he has this kind of vision of the perfect form. Then he comes with 4 symbols. And then he even tells our founder, oh, I'm you. Really strange, right? What is the reason for all of that? So it's a bit of a mystery, right? But there's an explanation to it. What do you know about the discourse of self-realization? Do you have an idea? It's a very ancient symbol. It has something to do with the journey. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is. It has something to do with the journey, but it's not a physical one. That's a very, very good observation. It is the journey of the soul. It is, in a sense, it is, but it's just the foundation of that journey. Actually, the symbols, all of them, they have a deep meaning, and they are also, they can only be understood in a specific sequence. So what's the mystery here? So this look, it is really a little bit like, hey, come on, what's this? What's the sequence? There is a sequence. The sequence is, first you have the discourse of self-realization. The second one is the scepter, the mace. The third is the lotus. And the fourth is the conch shell. So that's the order. And so I'll play some more music and then we'll try to figure out what's the mystery behind this. Anyway. So this is a story, more or less, and let's see where the story takes us now. So it took a little while for the founder of the Brahma Kumaris to figure out what that discus actually meant. And the discus had to do with one aspect of our teachings. It has to actually do with knowledge. So the discus represents understanding the spiritual laws, and also it symbolizes the process of going deep into this understanding. It is the process of churning the knowledge, of churning the meaning of spiritual laws. One spiritual law, for example, is the law of karma. So what is the deepest meaning of karma, for example? Another aspect of knowledge that we have is actually the law of entropy. We call it actually the cycle. So we have this idea that every system has 5 ages. It has an age of glory and an age of silver, which is not so much glorious, but still quite good. Then a period which is semi-elevated, and then the systems come to a stage of degradation, for example. And then there is also a phase of renewal. So we have the cycle, which is also one of the principles of the spiritual knowledge. And understanding the law of karma, and then you need to understand the law of karma also connected to this kind of law of entropy, to the cycle. So this means if you want to start on your spiritual journey, you need to have some understanding. You cannot go on this journey just by the power of faith. You cannot go on this journey just by having a lot of love for some idol or a lot of love or religious feelings. You cannot go on this journey. So you have to start with understanding. So the foundation of this journey is actually clarity. It cannot be blind faith. So that was actually the first message. So if you want to go on this journey, you have to understand. You have to have some understanding. You have to have clear concepts. You have, for example, to understand about the soul and who you are. You have to understand also which is the source. You have also to understand how time behaves, how systems evolve over time. You have also to understand about the cause and effect, the law of cause and effect. Then you have to deepen also your knowledge in some other areas, like, for example, how can you lead a good life? You also have to understand the spiritual powers, for example. So what this image was telling the founder is actually, in order to start with this spiritual journey, you have to have a solid basis of understanding of what you're doing. Otherwise, you cannot embark on this journey. So that was the first symbol. The discourse of self-realization is about understanding knowledge, having a clear vision, and understanding what you're doing. So that's the start. So what I wanted for you to really kind of realize is that this vision that was shown to the founder of our organization was, first, it shows two things. It just shows two things. First, what is your goal? The goal is the perfect human being, is actually to reactivate this perfect form of yourself, and the method. And the method, like a car that can be driven, has typically 4 tires, right? And now I just talked about the first one. But you cannot go on this journey just via knowledge. There's something more to it. So I'll play another piece, and then we'll go to the second tire, to the second symbol. And so we continue on our journey to understand the four symbols. So we started with the discus of self-realization, which is about understanding the spiritual laws. And these are not the worldly laws, obviously. These are the laws of for a spiritual life, let's say so. And the second symbol, what does it mean? It is the mace, or it is the scepter. Does anyone have a scepter at home? If you are King Charles, perhaps, yeah. So yeah, it's a symbol of royalty, right? It's a very unusual symbol, like the first one. So if you look, there are this is self-realization. No one actually has. It's very rare. Now there is a symbol in India which is related to the discourse of self-realization, which is the swastika. It's a very ancient symbol, and it symbolizes the four ages of mankind. And so it is related to this discourse of self-realization. But it was misused by some political parties in the past, etc. But actually, it's a very positive symbol. It's actually related also to good luck. This actually means that if you really understand, have a very good understanding about the laws of spirituality, about the laws of life, you normally have a good life, yeah? Because you understand the rules, you respect the rules, yeah? Okay, but back to the second symbol. So the second symbol is this mace. So you could use it as a weapon, right? Poof, 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 to hit on someone's head. But that's not the idea. This is a symbol of power. Normally, scepters are only possessed by kings. And normally, if you have a scepter, you are not even a noble person, but you are actually the ruler. It is someone who has control. It's a symbol of control. But is this the control over other people? Is like the big boss? Or is it something else? So actually, it's not control over other people. So these symbols are quite mysterious because they are used in a worldly context. And suddenly, it's like an enlightened person shows up in front of the founder of the Brahmakumaris, and he comes with these weird symbols. And these symbols have in the worldly aspect, in the worldly context, they have a specific meaning, yeah? But here they have a different meaning, yeah? And what is the meaning? What does it mean? What does this control? It's the power over your thoughts. It's the power over your mind. Is you are not the ruler over others, but you are the ruler of your thoughts. When you tell your mind to stop, your mind stops. You are able to focus your mind at any time. Your mind doesn't jump from one thought to another thought, to another thought, to another thought. And the mind does not run away. There is nothing that can scare you, that can basically enslave you. You are not a slave of anything. You are the one who rules over your mind. And this is actually the supreme form of sovereignty. When you rule over your thoughts, when there is nothing that can make you a slave, that can influence you, there is nothing in the physical world that can influence you, and nothing in relationships that can influence your mind. There is nothing that can happen that can influence your mind. Then you become the self-sovereign, the sovereign over yourself, which means the sovereign over your thinking. And this is something that doesn't have a male or a female connotation. When you think about control in something like this, people associate this more to more a male thing. Love is more a female thing. But no, Vishnu shows up in this form with his four arms. Why do you think? It's strange. I don't know anyone with four arms, right? But if you put a male and a female, or can you put the female and the male in front of each other, and then they start to move their arms around, and suddenly you can see 4 arms. Actually, it's a representation of humanity without the gender. So it means also, it's actually genderless, yeah? So it means that these 4 symbols can be possessed by women and men. Doesn't make a difference. So that's also the message of the 4 arms. So there are lots of symbols over here, extremely interesting ideas. And this scepter, the second one, is related to the power over your mind. We talk about very often about yoga. Yoga is actually remembrance, but also this type of remembrance in which you can channel the focus of your mind and you can keep it focused. This symbol is about the control of the mind, the focus of the mind, and also about a mind that is not enslaved, that is not influenced by anything. A mind that doesn't stick to negative ideas, a mind that has always positive, powerful, and strong thoughts and stays focused. And this is, we call it yoga here also. So these 4 symbols have then other names. Then I will tell you at the end all the 4 names that can be associated to these symbols. So the scepter is the control of the mind, is the power of a focused mind, is the power, is also associated to the power of focus. So what does this mean? We have a sequence here, right? It starts first with the discus, and then it goes to the scepter. So this actually means, in order to have the scepter in your hand, you have to have a good understanding of the spiritual laws. If you don't have understanding of the spiritual laws, the control over the scepter will slip away from you. So this is also very important to understand. There might be people who have a very good mental control that can keep their mind focused over a long period of time. But if they go against spiritual laws because they don't understand them deeply, then they will create a lot of chaos. So what this image is actually telling us, for you to have the scepter in your hand and keep it in your hand, first you have to be able to rotate the discus of self-realization. First, you need to understand the spiritual laws, and then you can have the power over the mind. So you need to have gyan. Gyan is actually knowledge. You have to have the power of knowledge first, and then you can have the power over the mind. When you also talk about Raj Yoga, is the connection with the self-sovereign. So this is also a reference to it. So self-sovereignty has to do with this scepter. But the story doesn't end here. The story continues because there are 2 more symbols to go. But what I'm telling you is actually, one is the goal, which is the vision, and another one is the method. The symbols are the method. What's in the hand is the method. And what's in front of you is the goal. And the goal might be in the future or in the past, we don't know. And the goal has also 4 arms. It is a goal for men and women. So it's genderless goal. Okay? So today we are going on this crazy journey on this of these 4 symbols. Yeah. And now we have a little break, a little musical break again. the journey continues to understand all these four symbols. Yep. Okay. We have the lotus. So the lotus has some properties, and it's a very peculiar type of flower. So where can you find lotuses? I'm hearing myself. Anyway, so lotuses, yeah? Where do they grow? In dirt, exactly. So they have this, so you can find lotuses in the dirt. Why didn't he choose a rose or something like that? Why is it a lotus? The lotus is able to stay pure, is able to stay uninfluenced by negativity. So the lotus has a specific type of beauty which exists in the mud. So, and this actually has also a very deep significance. It's about being able to have really an elevated personality, even when the whole world is about darkness around you. So it is this kind of absolute independence. So this refers to a specific type of personality which is never influenced by anything negative around you. So you are able to stay beautiful, to stay untouched, to maintain your composure, even if everything around you is a disaster. So, but why this sequence? Why do we have this? So we started off with the discus, then we went to the scepter, and then we went to the lotus. And the lotus is about inculcation of virtues. It's about character. It's about actually your traces of personality. So what does this mean? First, you need to have a very good understanding of the spiritual laws. So you start there. This is your foundation. Then you need to develop the power of focus, the power of concentration. You need to develop control over your mind. And then if you develop control over your mind, and this is based on the understanding of spiritual laws, only if it is based on the understanding of spiritual laws, then you develop this type of personality. The personality of someone who actually can be in the most negative places, but is not influenced by negativity. Someone who is so pure and at the same time so extremely beautiful that there is nothing that can actually affect you. The lotus is also connected to a very interesting idea, which is the idea of selflessness. The lotus typically is interconnected when you look at it. I think the lotus has this kind of thing of being interconnected with other flowers, with other plants. And only when you become selfless, when you go beyond selfish desires, only then you can come close to the personality which is represented by this lotus. It's when you go beyond desires. It's when you go beyond mine and me and these kind of thoughts. When you go beyond selfishness, that you can actually realize the lotus. Now, this seems a little bit crazy. How can I be completely selfless? How can I be selfless? And if I'm selfless, then everyone will take from me everything. But it seems almost paradoxical. It's in the moment in which I have no desires. It is in the moment when I don't want anything from anyone. It's in the moment in which I go beyond all wants. It's in that moment that I experience the ultimate, the absolute freedom. Freedom is only possible when you go beyond all your desires, when when you don't want anything anymore from anyone. So the lotus refers to that. And you get actually from the scepter, you actually traverse to the lotus. And then there is another aspect. So the lotus has to do with selflessness, but it also has to do with absolute beauty. The lotus is not fragrant, but it's absolutely constantly beautiful. What does it mean? What does this beauty mean? It means that the lotus will not change no matter what happens. Rain can come, dirt can come, the ducks may come, but the lotus will always be beautiful. It won't kind of attract the dirt and keep the dirt for itself. So it means that the lotus is related to absolute beauty and, in other words, benevolence. So whoever realizes the lotus will have the personality of absolute benevolence. The lotus is not only selflessness, it's not only purity. If you have purity and selflessness, but you don't have benevolence, you're not there. You have to have also benevolence. So this is what the lotus actually means. It's a pointer to a specific type of personality. Someone who is always benevolent. And you can throw dirt at this person, you can beat this person up, but this person will keep this stage of benevolence. The lotus will never be influenced. But the lotus can only exist when you have this basis of knowledge, when you have the discus, when you have the scepter, the power over your mind, because the lotus cannot exist without knowledge, without a clear understanding of the world. The lotus cannot exist without the power over your mind, and only then the lotus can exist. So whoever has the lotus in their hand is an extremely powerful, but at the same time, extremely benevolent personality. If you get in contact with the person who personifies the lotus, who embodies the lotus, then you'll see a person who is actually totally benevolent. In every thought, there is benevolence. There are very few people who attain that. We had a couple of people who we remember here in the Yagya who were extremely benevolent. They were very close to this image of the lotus. But whoever embodies this lotus is someone who has a stable mind, a clear mind, and absolute benevolence at every point in time. And this is not a transactional benevolence. I give you something, but you need to give me something. It's not that benevolence. It's this kind of benevolence that wants nothing. It's total, unconditional love. And this is the third symbol. So I hope you're understanding what's going on here. So when our founder got this image, he got two things, like I said. He got the goal, and what he got also? The method, the path. And the path was encoded in symbols. And do you think he understood these symbols right away? It was encoded. This is about what I'm trying to do is actually decode the symbols and see what was the hidden message between that image over there, which actually marks the beginning, at the beginning of this institution, actually. This was kind of, I'm talking about the fundamental kind of image of this institution was that one over there. There are other images like the point and all these things, but this was the beginning. Does this make sense? I really want to hear your opinion about this. But Brahma Baba got an image, and obviously after this image, he was kind of baffled. Yeah, what does this mean? But what he got in front of it took him, I think, quite a while. But then he had a very good understanding of it. After a couple of years, he got the goal. This is the goal. This perfect human being, and this is the method. There is a method to get there. The method was encoded in his forearms. And then, why forearms? Because this image is neither male nor female. It's open, it's genderless kind of thing. On top of that, yeah, there is still one symbol to go. I have 7 minutes, so I'll play one more, and then I'll go to the last symbol that's missing. Yeah. The last symbol is a symbol that plays music. And here we are. And what is that music about? Actually, it's not acoustic music. It's about serving mankind. So when you have attained the lotus, when you have created this immensely beautiful and benevolent personality, when you went beyond all desires, then you can serve humanity. Then you can elevate others, and then you can show the path to others. Actually, the last symbol is about serving mankind and elevating mankind. And this is not by force or by anything, because Vishnu is absolutely non-violent or anything. This is related to love, to unconditional love and benevolence. And this is the power of cooperation. So the last symbol is telling, okay, you are not supposed to become holy beings who are completely gone from the world, who are actually some kind of renunciates, who renounced social responsibility. This symbol has to do with social responsibility. So you are here to serve other people. You are here to elevate other people. You are not, because there in many religions, people think when you are a holy person, then you have to go into the mountains, and then you keep meditating there until you, go out of the body. So this is an idea that is very prevalent in some religions, but this symbol is actually denying that. No. What you should do is you have to serve mankind. You are here to serve others. You are here to dedicate your life, dedicate your breath to other people. And that is the message of the last symbol. So let's go through it again. So first, we had the discourse of self-realization, which is about understanding knowledge. It is about gaining wisdom, about understanding the laws, the spiritual laws, not the physical laws, but understanding the spiritual laws. That is the first symbol. Understanding the law of cause and effect, which is the law of karma. Understanding also the law of the cycle, And the cycle has in it these 4 qualities. So you have to understand that in everything in our world, typically you find whatever feeling that is, or whatever expression that is, you always find, or even objects, or you always find them in 5 stages, in 5 shapes. For example, if you talk about love, there are almost 5 types of love. So the first type of love will be this complete unconditional love, full of energy. Then there is which is also filled with enthusiasm, and it's completely unconditional. It's completely beyond desires. Then there is this love that comes because you have just you were born in a very good environment, and then you have love. It is already a bit conditioned by the environment. Your love is still genuine. Then you have transactional love. I give you something, you give me something. When you don't give me something, I'll hit you. And when you hit me, I'll hit you, and so on and so on. And then there is the kind of negation of love. So if negation of love means, please give me love, I can't give you anything. Sorry, if you give me love, I won't give you anything anyway. So no. So I'm completely empty, and I'm like this kind of empty bucket. You pour water into it and it goes off. So yeah. And then there is this kind of love for the supreme, or the love, this transcending love. This is such a strong form of love that you go beyond your identity and you achieve transformation through this love. So if you understand all these kind of laws, you will also understand this kind of spiritual laws. This is just related to the cycle, what I was telling now. You understand that these laws are all over the place. Yeah. And the second symbol is about the mace, which is the power over your mind. It has to do with the power of focus. Now, there is one thing. If someone has the power of focus but doesn't know the spiritual laws, then this person can create a lot of havoc. So there are people who have very good concentration power, but they can use it for very evil things, or they can use it with very selfish purposes. And this is very, very dangerous. These people normally, there is one thing which happens. If you have very strong concentration power, you will have a lot of charisma. Charisma will be with you. As soon as you have a very focused mind, you'll be very attractive in a certain way. But now, if someone has charisma, it doesn't mean that this person has really good intentions or understood the laws of the world, the law of karma, the cycle very well. Doesn't mean it. It just means that it's a very focused mind, a powerful mind. Then if you have these two, which is the discus of self-realization and the mace, over a long period of time, what happens with you is that your traces of personality, they change. You become extremely beautiful, and you start to be extremely benevolent, extremely fragrant, and you go beyond your selfish desires. That's the lotus. That's inculcation. We call it dharana in Hindi. Now, my Hindi is horrible, but people here can help you with that. And finally, we have, when you have all these three, then you're ready to serve. Then you're ready to spread the message. Then you're ready to elevate mankind. And here I stop, and I thank you for coming. And so we invite you for further programs to understand all these 4 symbols a little bit better. And so it was a fascinating thing because I improvised everything from scratch. I didn't have any time to prepare. Anyway, that was it. I'm done. Thank you very much, guys. No, I'm good.
Thank you, Jill. That was a very insightful talk and music, very refreshing. Some announcements for future events are we have reflective meditation. You can join us in person or online on Monday and Thursday, 7 to 7:30. Then on Sunday, we have meditation, which is online, and you have to register to get the Zoom link, and it will be 10 to 10:45 a.m. And then we also have a Raj Yoga Fast Track course starting next Monday, 6 to 7 p.m. And the start date would be 13th May, and this would be online. And then next Tuesday, which is 14th of May, we have another talk at same time and same place. That is Simplicity Unveiled by Anne. And we have the shop open in case you want to buy anything. And the product of the week is this book, which is Creativity to Reinvent Your Life by Miriam Sabirana. So please check it out. So thank you very much for joining.